Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. Okay, it is live. Sorry about that. Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host, Sri Iyer. Joining me today is Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, who could not make it yesterday. So we are making up for our lost Monday today. And let's welcome Abhijit. Abhijit, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaste.
Namaskar. Okay.
I didn't say namaskar, I said namaste. For followers of Narendra Modi, that is to say namo, you don't say namaste, you say namaste.
Hey, listen, Abhijit, you have a lot of ins into the US State Department. And once in a while, they'll come out and take pot shots at India, hoping that some mud will be thrown and some of it will stick. Especially, they'll quote the USCIRF, which is a flawed research report. Anyway, so what are they hoping to accomplish? Because India is actually ignoring all these things. And what exactly is the intent behind all that?
Look, it's several things. First, remember, the US government is in a state of dysfunction because normally it requires a strong president to keep all the competing factions,
Singing the same tune.
Singing the same tune, basically. That's not happening because you have a president who's in the advanced stages of Alzheimer's, and you have a vice president who has about as much IQ as a chimpanzee. So what ends up happening is that all the different levers function differently. State is an extremely woke department. So what you end up having is that there are individual, silos which work very, very differently. And what you see is kind of what you get, a complete confusion. Let me give you a simple example. The International Religious Freedoms Report, that fellow who wrote it, Rashad, whatever, he has the freedom to pick what he wants from where he wants. If Anthony Blinken told him how to do his job, it would become a scandal. That the president the Secretary of State wanted to fix a report. So he can't, right? At the same time, he has to release the report. Rashad, on the other hand, can get a planted question. And that planted question was this girl who had worked in Al Jazeera, NDTV and all that crap, Muslim girl, who asked the question that she's told to ask by Rashad, and she does, which, Rashad can. Just as Anthony Blinken or any government official, even in India, can plant a question in his favorite reporter kind of thing. So that's what's happened out there. The second thing is, precisely because State Department is woke, they've been funding everything woke under the sun. It's not just us. They're screwing over America, with all this DEI crap and you have to conform and all that nonsense. The third is that the embassy in Delhi has been without an ambassador for what, 3 years now?
Yeah. But now they do, right? Garcetti is there now.
Yeah, Garcetti is there, but Garcetti is going to take at least a month to get a hold of things, number one. Number two, as long as Atul Keshup was there, it was fine, because Atul Keshup's completely on the ball. The fellow who replaced the lady who replaced Atul Keshup was this complete dingbat of a woman whose entire career, she's never had a merit-based promotion. Her entire career has been based on DEI. Okay, I'm the affirmative action candidate, promote me to show affirmative action, to show equality. This is what you get when you promote shit.
Expand that GDI, please. What does that mean?
GDI?
What did you just say? That she's not merit-based?
Oh, she's DEI, diversity, equality, inclusivity. You should know this. You're in California.
Look, I am the un-Californian Californian, all right? I mean, I'm unapologetic about it too. I'm unapologetic about it too.
You're a
I come here and
guard of the transgender genocide.
If there is anyone that needs to complain, it should be the immigrant that comes to the United States. They have to jump twice as high to get half the recognition. Okay, I'm missing a but because I had to work it off. All right. So now I'm kind of expressing myself freely because I don't work for
But
any
see,
crap.
but see,
But
Shri, you're a Brahmin. You're white adjacent.
no, I'm not a Brahmin. I'm a Kshatriya.
No, you're Brahmin. No, you're a Brahmin, and you're white adjacent. You can see even from your skin that you're white adjacent.
No. I'm as brown as it gets.
Look, you were part of the British colonization of India. You supported the British in the colonization of India.
I suffered under it. Far from it.
Far from it. You supported it. You benefited
I
from it.
suffered because of that.
No, you didn't. You benefited from it.
No, I did not.
You passed off your leeching of the lower castes as suffering, playing the victim card, when in fact you were extorting and persecuting those lower down the ladder, the agricultural classes, to eat up their surpluses.
I respectfully disagree with your viewpoint. I think we are diverting away from the topic. We shouldn't be fighting about something when we are actually taking aim at something else.
You have Brahminical patriarchy, which is the closest thing you can get to white patriarchy.
Don't try to get a rise out of me. You are the guest here. I am the one who's supposed to get a rise out of you. We are reversing role playing today. Let's not do that. Let's get back to one small thing. All right. So we were talking about how state is woke and second ambassador who followed, Atul Keshav. Please continue that story.
Not ambassador, chargé d'affaires, because they haven't had an ambassador.
Okay.
So it could be DCM or chargé d'affaires and whatever. So yeah.
All right. So what happened after that? Chargé d'affaires.
Nothing. It's been under that deranged psycho for a while. Garcetti will take a while, because you know how American transfers work. You do a slow handover, and the ambassador then takes over and then assumes his own style.
So Garcetti has been doing the rounds, meeting with people like Shah Rukh Khan. Does the Indian ambassador to the United States go about meeting people like, say, Peter Woods or do they do that?
No. See, nobody gives a shit about the Indian ambassador there. See, it's like when simple example. When Shah Rukh Khan's wife comes to America, there will be people who want to meet her. Okay? But if, I don't know who, does anyone even know John Travolta's wife? If she comes to India, nobody wants to meet her because nobody knows.
She passed away recently of cancer.
Okay, very sorry. So somebody else? Who? Sean Penn?
No, I'll tell you one real life episode. I was waiting to receive my wife.
Indian ambassador. So basically, here's it. The Indian ambassador is a nobody in America. The American ambassador here is a big fish. It's that simple.
I'm just looking at the appropriateness. I mean,
it's very appropriate.
They can come and meet you in your consulate.
I know for a fact that several Indian ambassadors have tried to get meetings with Bollywood stars, and they've been asked, "Who the hell are you?"
Anyway, who are these people? They are just plastic figures. Plastic surgery is what's keeping them there. Anyway,
whatever it is, the point is, the Indian ambassador is a nobody there.
All right, let's move on to our question and answer session. Let's go take up the questions now, please. Malyaban Bhattacharya wants to know, looking at Belgorod, do you foresee a Euromaidan-type protests at Saint Petersburg and Moscow? Typical CIA regime change ops to remove Putin from power and replace him with somebody else.
No. Putin has a very good grip on power. He's throwing everybody proactively in jail. Nahi hone wala hai udhar.
One of the deputy ministers died recently, right? Fell sick and died.
बहुत सारे लोग मरते रहते हैं. Not to worry. कुछ नहीं होगा.
Mr. Lee wants to know, are you aware of any research on content of the files burnt by the British during the Operation Legacy in 1947 in India? Are there still archives in the UK that are still not declassified?
I wouldn't know. I'm sorry.
It's Lee. It's not just British. Even Indians also go and burn files. For example, that Henderson Brooks report. The entire thing was done by an officer called Lieutenant General Bhagat, and his daughter is actually a journalist now. She writes for Times of India, Ashali Verma, and she and I had a conversation, and they showed how the entire primary research about how India goofed up in 1962 in China was all completely wiped out. They just set fire to the whole thing. This was under Indira Gandhi in 1967. Everybody has something to hide, so therefore they just go and take a hammer to it and just destroy everything. It's all right, just move on. Himang 957. Stealth aircraft has been in the market since late 80s, but why have we never seen any stealth helicopters? Is it possible to make one?
The very first, let me show you this. The very first stealth helicopter, which was actually flying, was something called the Comanche. And RH-66 Comanche. Because at that time the Cold War ended, they had no need for it, and they got rid of it. So hang on, let me do share screen, present. Somebody's phone is ringing. Can you see this? Can you see this?
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is the RH-66 Comanche. It was the first stealth helicopter. It was developed for a Cold War situation. And, then the Cold War kind of, let's see a nice big image of this. Yeah, there you go. There. Yeah. So this was the stealth helicopter. And it worked. It just became anachronistic at the end of the Cold War. But then they did stealth modifications to several Black Hawks. One of which was used on the Osama bin Laden raid. So it has been used. The thing is, a big rotor like any helicopter has is fundamentally very difficult to stealthify because it's a huge reflecting surface. So it is difficult, but it has been done. Probably just not worth it. Because anyway, they fly, very, very low. Nap of the earth flying, as it's called. So it's anyway quite difficult to detect.
Malyaban Bhattacharya wants to know, do you think that the world is ready for another Black Death-like pandemic in the future? Call me brainwashed, but we are American who paranoid of Russian nukes as per Hollywood movies?
Yeah, I think we'll see another big pandemic. And look, the question really is, how far has medicine improved? How far has medicine improved in order to prevent another Black Plague? You don't really know. Like this time, how many people died from COVID? 1 million people?
No, more than that. 5 million, I think.
Is it? Let me just check.
US itself is more than 1 million.
People died from COVID. 6.8 million, so close to 7 million.
Right.
7 million as a percentage of population is what?
7 billion. 7 billion.
Oh, the total population in the world is about 5.5 billion, no?
You can take 7 billion. It's okay. It's 0.01%.
Oh, it's already 7.9. It's 8 billion. Okay.
Today I'm hitting all fours out of the park, Abhijit.
Yeah, you are. So 7 million divided by 8,000 into 100. That is 0.
0875%. Yeah.
The Black Death killed off almost 30% of Europe's population. This is minuscule. Okay, so imagine 6 million dead is minuscule. We've lost almost as many people to COVID as we have to some great war, and it's still minuscule. It doesn't even affect our collective memories anymore. Okay, so it's just one of those things where I don't see it happen. I think medicine has gone too far, and I think we're discovering too much. Unless some weaponized counterbody that is protected for several generations of development against antibiotics or whatever is released deliberately, I don't see that kind of a Black Death happening with natural evolution or even partially accelerated evolution. Because remember, COVID was developed in China by a weapons lab. So it is a biological weapon, but not sufficiently developed. Second part is, call me brainwashed, but were Americans too paranoid of Russian nukes? No. They had a very good reason to be paranoid about them. And if anything, they were a bit less paranoid than they probably should have been, from all that we know from the Russian archives.
Yesterday, Carvaka Podcast had an episode on urbanization. The guests went on and on that Indian cities need grid patterns like USA. EU cities don't have grids. Can you comment on this? Mr. Lee again.
I don't think they said grids, Mr. Lee. They said grid patterns for newer cities, because remember, even EU cities outside do have a grid pattern. But no, we don't have grid patterns. There are ways of developing older cities. But if you've got a completely new city like Delhi, where very little, I mean, only the old Delhi parts of it are worth preserving, realistically speaking, you should absolutely be going in for a grid pattern. But I don't think EU cities were discussed in the same thing. But yes, Indian cities, you're right. It just wasn't framed. Sorry, I misread your question. Yeah, EU cities don't have grids, except you go to New Vienna and things like that. They do have grids. Even old Vienna kind of has grids, kind of.
Mr. Bharani Chandar wants to know, to both of us, the coat and suit dress has evolved a lot from 1900s to the present. If we hadn't any invasions, how do you expect our traditional dress like dhoti and sari to have changed?
Court and suite dress, na?
Coat and suit. No, the Western type of dressing.
Oh,
It's changed since, they have
okay,
differences
coat and
now.
suit. Okay, coat and suit. Okay. Well, most men would be walking around without a shirt. And most women would be walking around with just something like a tea towel around their waist. Because you go look at even paintings. Now, there is a belief that temple paintings do not represent real life. Simple. For example, we know how Greek women dressed normally, and that wasn't exactly what was depicted in temples. Not exactly, but similar. But we do have early British lithographs of India, which show that, in fact, women did dress like that. So they did, large parts of them, at least in the south, went around topless. Large parts of them in Rajasthan did, in fact, wear a ghungat. But the sari in the south was significantly shorter, like a micro mini skirt, etc., etc., etc. So I don't know how our dress would have changed or evolved. So, for example, even the this thing that you see, there's a fascinating program on how Thai dress, as you know it today, isn't Thai dress how it was before. It was actually tailored. This, what you see, Thai Airlines and Thai service staff and things like that, where it was a very calculated attempt at getting a new dress in that's suited Western these things. Our saris also evolved to suit Western sensibilities, right? And similarly, post independence, you see that the entire ghungat thing and all of that goes away, and it's just the thing on the side. So you've seen the sari evolve even during our lifetime. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s, wearing the half blouse was very fashionable. Today, how many women do you see wearing a half blouse anymore? Nobody wears a half blouse anymore with a sari, right? So we can't really
What is a
predict.
half blouse? Sleeveless, you mean?
Sleeveless blouse.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's impossible to really predict these things. It's such a complex interaction of what you believe and what others believe, and who you have an inferiority complex with and who you have a superiority complex with.
Next question, please. Abhishek wants to know, what is the present condition in Manipur? Is it administrative failure of the state which has caused the violence?
It's not just administrative failure of the state, it's also been pushing out people into certain areas. And the present condition is complete information blackout. I haven't been able to verify anything on the ground from there. So I don't want to say anything right now, except that if I'm not able to get through to people I know out there, then clearly it's not very good, is it?
Abhishant Kesar wants to know, do you think 80s was American golden era economy, booming professional wrestling was very profitable? And do you know about territorial wrestling in USA? No idea. Even I don't know, Abhishant. I lived in the 80s in the United States. It was not a golden era economy. That's the first time deficit financing started taking root. Reagan tried to explain it away, saying that if you want to bankrupt USSR, we should start building Star Wars. A lot of money got spent. A lot of defense companies made a lot of money. The USSR collapsed, but we are stuck with this deficit now, and it's just been growing. Debt, now you call it debt ceiling. It all started during that time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this. Sorry.
Yeah. Well. Mr. Bharani Chandar wants to know, what's the problem with HAL built helicopters like Dhruv? Don't we get the engine and other electronic components from foreign companies? Why do we have 3 crashes this year alone?
Look, there are things that I know about this without betraying confidence. Is basically the design was never solidified. It had some fundamental problems which message MBB would have taken about another 6 months to a year to solve, and HAL insisted on terminating their contract. It is a flawed design. There are fundamental flaws in the design. Okay, there are fundamental flaws. It's past the electronic integration is actually fine, but when the design itself is flawed, you remember what happened to all the helicopters we sold to Ecuador? 2 or 3 of them out of the 5 that we sold crashed. So it's a fundamentally unsafe helicopter. They've never sorted out the problems. They don't want to accept it has problems, and that's that.
Next question, please. Himak 957. As an international relations UG student from Canada, what kind of job should I be looking for in this field? Any advice you can give me, since you've been in this field for a long time?
Himank, I've stopped giving all this education and this thing advice. Sachin, no more of these questions. You know that, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. Himank, sorry about that. Revant Reddy wants to know, how influential was Rani Sethu Lakshmi Bai as a regent of last Travancore king, where the majority of the Kerala social reforms her and her sons rather than communism?
Well, look, it wasn't communism for sure, but she laid the root of communism to come. There were significant social reforms by the Rajas. Okay. Did they get it all right? No. Did the communists do some of the stuff? Yeah, sure. So did the Congress, by the way. So it's very, I mean, you can't just put it down to one person. I do think, Manu Pillai, right? Who's written
Yeah.
the and all of that. Yeah. I do think he overstates her role a bit, because a lot of things were extraneous, which don't come out in the book. But anyway, it is what it is. It was a combination of a lot of things. There was pressure on her as well.
Next question, please. Revant Reddy again. What are your opinions on the Shaktikanta Das as RBI governor? Need any update on 𝙒𝙗𝙣𝙤𝙤 reforms, or are they postponed until elections?
I don't have a very high opinion of Shaktikanta Das, never have. And 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙤 reforms, are they postponed? Yeah. Nobody's heard about them. We don't know what's happening, nothing. Sorry.
If you want to know about Shaktikanta Das, just go to PGurus.com and search on Shaktikanta Das. You will get all the stuff. Abhishek wants to know, what is the view of Muslim Brotherhood towards women, as a lot of Islamists, so-called liberal women, support it? Example, Omar, Rana Ayub, Rashida Tlaib, etc.
They don't support it in as many words. They support the political movements of the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay, they don't support, I don't think any of them has ever specifically come out and supported the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood. They, of course, do they effectively support it? Yeah. Do they support it? Do they hide it? Do they mask it very well? Yeah. But the view of Muslim Brotherhood towards women is, it's nowhere near as extreme as, say, ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Huh? It does believe that women should be educated. It does believe that women should work. It does believe in a lot of equal rights for women. But you do have to be veiled. Men have certain rights over women folk. So they believe all of those things. A simple example would be almost, I mean, this is almost strange, of how Ayatollah Khomeini kind of viewed women. Equal but veiled. So a lot of the Muslim Brotherhood view women that way. Their views have, I wouldn't say they've evolved, but they've always been strands even within the Muslim Brotherhood. So if you read people like Sayyid Qutb and things like that, he had a very poor opinion of women mingling with men, etc., etc. But they've never said women shouldn't be educated, women should only remain at home, women shouldn't carry out professions, women shouldn't be in politics. No, they're quite fine with that. They're quite fine with that. How much of them actually believe it and implement it, I don't know. But if you go by the writings, yeah.
Next question, please. Lord Noam, thank you, Lord. Did Muslims of Bengal convert under the Islamic sword, or did they convert as protest against the zamindars, as Shiekh Hasina's grandpa did?
It's very hard to say. Remember, Bengal was largely cleared and expanded by the Mughals, which is why it became Muslim. It was largely a marshland. The death rates out there were fantastic, because it was essentially a mosquito-infested marshland. You go to Bangladesh today, I mean, even around Kolkata, people don't realize how many, lakes and things like that Kolkata has. Lakes and channels and whatnot. The death rate of the Brits in Kolkata was obscene. And it was the Muslims who did expand it to a very large extent. In today's Bangladesh, you name one Indian kingdom that ruled today's Bangladesh. Even larger parts of West Bengal, there's a reason that it became Muslim. And a lot of it was because the expansion itself was done by Muslims. And it's impossible to say because we don't really have too many big sources about it. Was there forceful conversion? Yeah, of course there was. But was it largely forceful conversion? I'm not convinced about that.
Next question, please. Sachin wants to know, have you come up? Yeah.
Just to give you context, go back to the previous question. If you land in Dhaka, for example, the name of the airport there, Hazrat Shah Jalal, is a fellow who was known to do jihad and convert people forcibly. Okay. The problem is, I've also read counter views that there were significantly greater number of Muslims out there doing propagation and things like that. Because you look at the population, it's overwhelmingly native. You don't get a Turkic population vibe out there, do you? I mean, they're all dark, short, uh, essentially a Khmer population, apparently. But Hazrat Shah Jalal is one of the people who did do jihad. Uh, but when you're expanding like that, it's really impossible to say how it happened, because the Muslim records don't talk too much about this. There are instances of jihad, sure. Was it largely done? Where is the counter narrative? We don't know.
Sachin wants to know, have you come across this thread on Twitter about Israel's role in the 26/11 attacks? Similar evidence has popped up about their role in arming the Kukis in Manipur recently.
But this is bullshit. कुछ रोल नहीं था.
Arshit Sharma wants to know, thank you Arshit, why India and China cannot be on the same side?
Well, we thought we could. The Chinese don't. It's not a question that anybody's been able to answer why the Chinese don't think we can be on the same side. But let me tell you, there is a reasonable belief amongst the Chinese that Nehru was trying to hoodwink them and act as an American stooge. And the reason for it was he was trying to play divide and rule between Russia and China at the time. He would go suck up to Stalin, or rather get his sister to suck up to Stalin, and he would suck up to Khrushchev and things like that. And he would then go to China and say, oh, look, the Russians aren't treating you very well, are they? I mean, you're the real Asian leader. Leave global leadership to them. You become the Asian leader, and we'll have the Bandung conference where you'll be the guest of honor, and you are the big power in Asia, etc., etc. And there is a lot of evidence to show that he knew he wanted to play divide and rule between Russia and China. The problem was he was actually reasonably good at it, reasonably bad at it, depends really. A lot of his own ambassadors got carried away. His foreign minister definitely got carried away. So they had a reason to be mistrustful of him. There is an institutional mistrust of China because they do not view Nehru as a straightforward person. They view him as fundamentally duplicitous. And what happened at the border was just a sort of tailpiece, afterthought to their fundamental distrust of Nehru. Okay, it was more that their distrust of Nehru drove the border conflict than the border conflict drew the distrust, exacerbated the distrust of Nehru, though it did to some extent. But today, it's again, the Chinese don't believe that India will not conspire against them. Okay. Second, they believe that if they dump, that the trade-off will be Pakistan. If they dump Pakistan, then all their other radical, their free radical allies like North Korea, etc., will lose faith in them. And that's not a good idea. So they'd much rather have a bird in hand than two in the bush.
Next question, please. Varun wants to know, Abhijit, was spread of Islam in Indonesia peaceful?
Not entirely, but largely, yeah. There's a lot of trade and intermarriage and things like that. But there are lots of examples of violence as well, but there are a lot more examples of very peaceful conversion as well.
Next question, please. Chaitanya Takle wants to know, why did Tajikistan and Turkmenistan ban hijab despite being 99% Islamic countries?
Because the leaders don't like excessive religiosity. They feel it threatens their rule. And I'm not sure Tajikistan did, but Turkmenistan definitely does. But yeah, they feel that their primary opposition comes from religion, and so they crack down on religion. Uzbekistan definitely did, but then they loosened up kind of. You're still not allowed to wear a full hijab out there. You can at most cover your hair like with a scarf, But even there, you'll get into trouble, even with the new president who's relatively liberal.
Next question, please. Krishna Ravishankar wants to know. Thank you, Krishna. What is your opinion on Nani Palkhivala?
I have a very good opinion of him, Krishna. I can't expand on it because I don't know what you want me to expand on. Like, what do I think of the color red? I like the color red. What do you think of red velvet cheesecake? I like red velvet cheesecake. What is my opinion on Nani Palkhivala? I've not heard him say anything stupid. So I like him.
Next question, please. Shadow Showdown wants to know. Thank you, Shadow. One, what do you think about drones made by Idea Forge? Just take one at a time.
Is this, hang on, Idea Forge drones? See, I've been reading a lot of stuff given to me about yeah, boss, sorry, no idea so far. I'm not yeah, it's not who I thought they were, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, no idea.
Next question from Shadow. Just go back to that question, please. You had a second question in there. Can you tell us about the mental models you have learned and used throughout your life?
I've never used any mental models except contradiction. Always try to find a counter argument, and then when you choose based on the counter argument, read all the counter arguments. When you've made up your mind, then find at least 3 other sources that confirm it. Well, 2 other sources that confirm your beliefs, or examples that confirm your beliefs. But that's not really a model as much as, yeah, I guess it is a model. Yeah, but that's it. First, read the other side, and then find 2 indisputable sources that will confirm the conclusion you've reached.
Naman Kantpal, thank you. Is there a specific reason that cheetahs are dying in Kuno?
No,
Are they unable to adapt?
Yeah, I read the question. No, it's normal death rates, boss. Amongst animals like that, you will have a significantly high death rate. Remember, a human being is not meant to live more than 32 years. I am 45. Shri, how old are you?
Much more than that.
Yeah, we're both unnatural. We're both unnatural because of the way science has developed, because humans can say what they feel wrong, which can be fixed. With animals, they can't complain. You don't know what is wrong with them. They have very high resilience that even when they're feeling excruciating pain, they can walk on or whatever. Right? So you don't really know. And their lifespans tend to be very short, very brutish. There's nothing you can do about it. And so the death rates, if you read what the South African official statement that came out, was it the South African or the Namibian official statement? But somebody put out an official statement saying that from Africa, that it was within the known mortality rates.
Rajesh wants to know, what training and skills or educational background are ideal for a politician, minister?
There's no exact answer to that, Rajesh. You can be from any background. The main thing has to be problem solving and project management.
True.
That is, if you're a micromanager. If you're not a micromanager, then power delegation.
Viewers, may I request all of you to like this video? We are still halfway through, and I would like to see many more people come and watch it. Yeah, we have a lot of questions to go through still. At the same time, I would like more people watching this, so could you kindly like this video? Thank you. Bharati in Bharatam wants to know, what do you think as the Indian contribution to modern weaponry, specifically chemical in case of rocket and projectiles?
Next to nothing. Literally next to nothing. I know we love to take credit for those rockets that Tipu Sultan did, but they weren't very effective on the battlefield per se. They didn't win him. They weren't a wonder weapon, were they? Well, they were a wonder weapon because wonder weapons usually don't win wars. That's why they're called Wunderwaffen. They're great technical innovations that don't actually win a war till somebody else takes them and makes them utile. So our contribution here is virtually nothing. Not
Vamsi
virtually.
wants Vamsi wants to know the government has cut down foreign funding for several NGOs. What's your view?
Yeah, excellent. They should cut down for all NGOs. Why should it be foreign funded? You don't want foreign funding for NGOs. If NGOs have traction here, let them raise funds locally. If what they're doing is important, then people should be willing to give them money here. It's that simple. There should be no foreign funding of NGOs.
Next question, please. Naman Kanpal again. Thank you, Naman. Any improvement in Air India post initial stage of acquisition by Tata, stale food and other horrible things?
No, not that I've experienced. It's been uniformly bad.
Your suggestion for airlines to London if one travels economy?
Boss, the economy is bad across the board, bah. Anything over 3 hours, I refuse to fly economy. Because they're all the same. And especially if you're traveling economy, then now just take Air India simply because they're all equally bad and Air India's timings are the best to London.
Next question. Venki Komando, thank you. All these DEI indices are developed to feed the AI infrastructure with the biases Indian corporations will lose in the long run. Should the government not act to protect its long-term interests?
Yes, they will. And next week, this guy, what's his name? Steve Allen. Who's the guy from ChatGPT?
ChatGPT. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. Steve Allen, yeah.
Okay. He's coming down to negotiate this whole ChatGPT for government services. Is there some interference happening? Some sound coming from somewhere? Yeah, thank you. This ChatGPT thing, which I think would be a huge mistake giving it to him because he's looking for our data. He can't be given Indian data under any circumstances. Under any circumstances, it can't be given to him. We've seen how ChatGPT has become a complete bloody DEI bot in a sense. He's the last person to give all that data to. No Indian data to Steve Allen, full stop. It will be a huge compromise to our data security, to our independence, to everything.
All right. Akhil Sharma wants to know if Modi continues his third term, can India keep on growing because the better we become economic and geopolitically, there will be more enemies to deal with. What is the possibility?
He can. You look at all his major reforms in Gujarat, they were in his third term. The first time he didn't do much. The second term was kind of consolidation. The third term was boom, 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 boom. So the point is to manage, no? The better you're doing, it is natural. Tell me one country that can grow without facing enemies, boss. Wo to hoga hi. You will get more enemies. It's a given. So we shouldn't grow or what? So it's very good. Let him do it. I'm counting on a Modi third term. He's been fairly decent this term. Huh? I'm not pissed off with him like I was in the previous term. 370 kar diya. Air India privatization kar diya. He would have done farm reforms. That would have been great. Nahi kiya, no problem. There are other things. I'm sure he'll do it. He's screwing them over differently. If you see that Ramneet Singh Mann or whatever who was at the forefront, the intellectual face of the farmers movement, he was complaining about how farmers are now getting 1 rupee 50 for tomatoes. They're killing them off by lowering the MSP. They'll destroy them by lowering the MSP. Very good. That's exactly what they deserve. And after you've destroyed them, then implement the farm laws when they have no will to resist. They'll come begging.
Next question, Jaydev Reddy. Thank you, Jaydev. What's your take on the recharge structure in Sahara being Atlantis? Randall Carson and Jimmy from Bright Insights were championing it on a recent.
No. Sorry, this is all completely. There was no Atlantis. Okay, Jaydev, there was no Atlantis. There was no this great civilization that gave everybody whatever. You see, ants in Australia ants in America and ants in Africa all build ant hills. Does that mean there was a common ant civilization that predated the humanoid civilization that came from space and taught all ants how to build ant houses similarly? No, na? So there was never an Atlantis. Please get this whole notion of Atlantis out of your head. Kuch bhi nahi tha. Human beings are capable of great things by themselves. They don't need extraterrestrial or some ancient civilization to help them out. Was there a period of development prior to the last mini ice age about 11,000 years back? Sure, there could have been. It would have been a very, very rudimentary civilization. It would have been a stone based civilization. It would not have even been a bronze civilization. And
Next question.
Example of that is those what tepe in Turkey. What tepe is that? I forget what tepe it is. It's something tepe. Kara tepe? No, something tepe. But they go back to about 15, 20,000 years, the earliest parts of that. And that's fine. But it doesn't disprove anything about it still being a Stone Age. Next.
Abhay Agarwal, thank you, Abhay. Is BJP a minority appeaser and neglecting Hindus?
Yes. Yes, largely yes.
Victim blamer, professional. Thank you, victim blamer. Do Hindus have any good organizations which are well read, smart, cunning, and organized, or do they have to settle for RSS or other loudmouths? RSS is not a loudmouth.
RSS is not a loudmouth. It's the exact opposite of a loudmouth. If anything, they don't talk at all, which is a big problem for me. RSS are very self-effacing. They've got a long-term plan and they work to it, boss. I have nothing but respect for them. Now, are they old-fashioned uncles? Yes. Are they uncles and granddads? Yes. Are they old-fashioned? Yes. Are they not in sync with what we want? Sure. That doesn't make them bad people. That doesn't make them unsmart. They're actually very, very smart. Boss, they put a government into power which has now won 2 successive elections, boss, over 70 years. Right? So they're very, very smart. Now, the kind of stuff you're talking about, does it exist? No. Why? Because all right-wing people actually have jobs to do. They're not parasites who've lived off handouts for the last 50 years of their life. So no, there are, in the sense you're talking about, there are none. No. Next.
Thank you, Kaushik. Next question, please. Gaurav, thank you. Don't you think the Democratic Party is increasingly being hijacked by political Islamists?
Yes.
Second question, do you think warfare or demography changes in Karnataka affected BJP in recent elections?
Yes. There was a very significant Muslim vote swing, tactical voting this time round. Yes. But that's not demography changes. That's your existing Muslim population doing tactical voting, which they've usually been very, very good at.
Abhishek, thank you so much. Chinmay Datar, thank you. AM's view on liberal hegemony as used by US.
I don't know who in the US uses it. So you have to be very specific on whose view of liberal hegemony you're talking about.
Abhishek, thank you. Next question, please. Naman Kanpal, thank you. Your take on Hindu refugees in Jaisalmer. I do know it's illegal and no one should be allowed to squat, but it increasingly feels like no country for Hindus.
I agree, but it is illegal. So, if you can do that to certain communities in Delhi for having illegal squatters, you can do that. But what does it tell you that you've given people refuge and you don't provide for them? Shame on us, no?
Abhishek has become a new YouTube member. Welcome. And I think that's all for today. We have done it quickly, but we have a catch-up session. Looks like we forgot to contact you, Abhijit. My sincere apologies last week. We will make up for this time tomorrow or day after, whenever. We'll work it out offline. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And do appreciate us or our work by giving in your comments. We like to listen to you. We try to strive to become better at what we are doing. Abhijit is a treasure trove of information, not necessarily accurate all the time, but that's why you and I come in and we try to kind of steer the radar a little bit here and there. But thanks once again, Abhijit. We'll be back again next Monday with him. And do follow him. His Twitter is back. His Twitter account is back and roaring again. Iyer World, and mine is 𝙒𝙗𝙧𝙤1. By the way, my PGurus one, which was a true verified account, lost its blue tick status. I'm not going to change that anymore. I'm just experimenting with my 𝙒𝙗𝙧 as a paid blue tick just to see if I can at least put those longer tweets and longer videos. I might use it at some point of time. I'm just trying to see if that improves my fortunes. Unfortunately, until now, the jury is still out. Thanks once again, Abhijit. Namaskar.
Ta-ta.